So we're doing a practice today on releasing 2023. And I've been thinking a lot about this. I think since June, I've been ready to release and transmute 2023. 2023 was a big year personally for me. And it was one where I was actively working my shadow, publicly working my shadow and my shadow aspects. Now, we talk about the shadow and we talk about what it is to take those things out of the blind spot. Um, but this is a raw process. And Brene Brown shares with us, we all have shame, right? We all have a certain level of shame that we carry. And so in our inner alignment work, we're all about feeling it all, right? Going into that feeling of, oh, I'm going to vomit. Oh, I can't even face that part of me. I can't accept that part of me. And so when we talk about shadow work, it's about really pulling those parts of ourselves out of the blind spot, out of the shadow, so that we can not just know what they are, but actively start to work with those aspects of ourselves. Now, that sounds like a really cool thing to do on the new age spiritual approach to inner work. But really, what it takes is the building of humility and the allowing of, or the letting go of how we identify. So, for example, I I teach groups and groups of people. I've trained 120 coaches and 25 healers, and I have a number of people that I'm always working with doing trauma work. And I fail regularly, like epic failures, because I take a lot of risk. And so, in that space of working with that Shiva energy, that fire that I am failing every week. I am failing. And I don't just have little failures, like I fail in big ways. So, the ability to fail, the ability to find our edge, and then to fail miserably, and then to build the humility and really start to let go of the shame of what it means about me that I did this, or I screwed this up, or I said the wrong thing. So, whatever it is that you're carrying in shame, that you've been on your spiritual growth path to fix in yourself, so you're no longer like that. What I encourage you to do is really just set it right here on the table or the altar. Whatever aspect of yourself that you've been like, la, 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 I need to fix that. I'm on my growth path. That's part of my shadow. I'm working on that. Well, what if we weren't making it about working or fixing or changing, and we fully embraced that that is a part of ourselves, that that is something within my nature, within my belief systems, within how I was raised, so that in this present moment, we can just accept it. Maybe not embody it forever and say, oh, this is here to stay. I'm an asshole sometimes, right? But to embody and really allow whatever quality that we have shame about, that we have hid or pushed down, to really start to unearth it and bring it front and center of like, oh, yeah, that I do that there, and I do that there, and I do that there. It's like you buy a Honda Accord and you see Honda Accords everywhere. So that stage of pulling the shadow out of the shadow, but instead of fixing it, allowing it to be an aspect. So if I'm fire, then the other side of that fire is going to be destruction. Or if I'm air, that means I might be floating away half the time when I'm in my shadow. Or if I'm earth, then I might be contracting and freezing and not speaking my truth. And that's just going to be a part of who I am and how I am in this incarnation. So typically when we're looking at shadow work, we're like, oh, we have to bring it into the light. We have to heal the shadow. Yes, there's a certain amount of healing the shadow. But I would say 80% of shadow work is acceptance, is loving that part of ourselves, is allowing it. It's breaking down the shame of it. So when the shame goes away and it's out in the open, and this was my year this year of just all of my belief systems, all of my negative behavior patterns straight up like popcorn everywhere for everyone to see, like at least 10 people at a time. And people judging me and having opinions about me. And being in that space of how do I accept this now publicly? I've been working on this for 4 years of myself, but now it's just right here. How can I accept me in the face of those who may not be able to accept me? How do I not resonate with their judgment or their evaluation of I'm not enough or I'm screwed up or whatever that is? And really anchor into the full embodiment of who I am. So if you feel like you really want to get rid of 2023 or this previous year, what is it that you faced that felt so hard? And what is it that it's time to actually bring in, accept, embrace? We know that love heals all. We know that we have to love ourselves. But what does that look like in practice? How can we look at these parts of ourselves that we're on our healing path for? And we have been for like 30 years because we're not accepting a good part of who we are. I'm not saying don't heal. I'm not saying spiritually bypass, but I am saying, what does it look like to fully embrace and love all of yourself? Pulling that heavy blanket of shame off and saying, all right, this is me. This is all of me. Yes, I still have that belief system. Yes, I'm a spiritual teacher and I make 20% of my work is a mistake. How can we allow ourselves that level of imperfection, that level of not functioning and adulting fully, that level of putting up with behaviors from people that maybe we shouldn't be putting up with anymore? Accepting ourselves doesn't mean we're not going to change. It actually accelerates change because we're no longer in resistance to that part of ourselves that we say is wrong and bad. We're no longer in resistance to loving ourselves. It is a pure act of love to be able to feel like you're going to vomit as you look at your shadow or as other people look at your shadow, and to choose to love and accept yourself anyway. That's what my work this year was. Like, whew, wow, Kim, that wasn't pretty. So when we do that, we can transmute the effects and recover. So instead of fixing ourselves because we're wrong or bad or imperfect, we can actually look at the effects of our nature and heal that with love. Does that make sense? We can transmute the effects of our ego personality. Sometimes that means doing forgiveness work within ourselves and with that person. Sometimes it means an apology. Sometimes it's naming it. And sometimes it's just going so deep. Have you ever been so humbled that you pull so deeply into yourself like a roly-poly. You just roll up and pray it off of you. Pray it out of you. Have you ever worked with that level of shame or pain that you withdrew into yourself and then prayed it out of you? Begged the divine, here, take this. Please take this. I just fucking can't. Please take this. Transmute this into goodness, please. Make this okay, please. So some people might call that a dark night of the soul. I have many dark nights of the soul monthly as I'm facing the depth of myself. It's brave, brave work. It's beyond shadow work. It is a level of self-love. In our inner alignment work, we have shadow work and self-love and self-forgiveness in one module. Why? Because we can only love ourselves if we fully and completely accept all of us, all of ourselves, all of self. It's only then that we can get unstuck. I'm not talking about accepting our own bad behavior and just writing it off and bypassing it. I'm talking about feeling it to the depth, allowing it all, and transmuting it. See, often we think if I look at this shadow aspect or if I look at my not enoughness, I feel like I'm going to die, right? It feels like a death fear because in the trauma packet, it is a death fear. In the trauma packet, if I'm destructive like my mother, I'm going to die, right? Whatever yours is. And so I try to be a good person. I try to do good in the world. I try to be right. I try to, save face. I try to whatever, because this feels like death. So if we're going to confront that part of ourselves that we just haven't been able to digest, we have to go into the death fear. And that's the crawling up, but it's not about crawling up and dying. It's not about crawling up in shame and avoiding. It's about curling up so deeply into your spine that you and the divine can transmute this feeling of death, the shame, the judgment, the belief I'm not good enough, all of it. Because this is where we go woo-woo, because that's probably not even you. It's probably a lineage pattern that's been running through you. They say that 95% of the karma that we carry is lineage karma. It's not even karma that we created in this lifetime. So if we allow that to be impersonal and we allow ourselves to be the light worker of the lineage to finally transmute this, which requires us to just see it, feel it, accept it, love ourselves in the face of it, and not let it have power over us anymore. Not let it disarm us from the divinity that we are. To allow ourselves to be the divine, to be the goddess, to be sacred in the presence of this really ugly flaw that is very ungodly, not divine. But why? Why would we have a shadow if that too wasn't divine? Why would there be a part of ourselves that we're supposed to reject? It doesn't add up. So to fully feel that, accept it, not love it, Yeah, I mean, the part of acceptance is being like, all right, this is here. I guess you and I have to be roommates. I'm not really crazy about this roommate, but all right, it's here. This is it. This is true. I've been in denial of it, trying to fix it for 30 years. What would it take to really just embrace it and allow it and be with it and try to love it? Override my judgment with love. And as we do that, as we practice that, there is a part of ourselves that can be like, ah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Whatever is our gift is also going to be our shadow. It's the same element. It's very impersonal. So if that's true, if we can accept that, I'm destructive. I use my fire in my work, and sometimes it works, and other times it blows shit up. And me and my team have a lot of work to do to clean it up and to repair it. It's not pretty. It's not intentional, but it's still a shadow aspect of myself. It's not pretty. It takes extreme humility. It takes allowing myself in an image to crumble, allowing who I think I am as the spiritual teacher on the path to really just be a fuck up and allow my self-image to crumble and to hand it all over. So as you look at that shadow aspect that created your own clusterfuck in 2023, because I'm guessing if I had that experience, you might have too. Maybe you weren't able to see even your part. You felt like it was all happening to you, but everything is co-created. Anything we attract into our life, we have participated in. We have co-created. That's not blame. That's just law of attraction and law of resonance. So as you breathe in to what you co-created this year, what would it take to let go of the judgment and the self-punishment and the shame and the regret and simply just let it be? Accept it. Love it. Like it's a little abandoned part of you that you haven't been willing to embody. And as you even think about that, notice the space that it creates in your body to fully allow all of you to fully love every aspect of yourself, even the parts that you've been so scared to acknowledge. So if you will, as you've been listening, if you can go into that and just breathe into it. For me, it's in my upper stomach. Where is it in your body? As you try on truly embodying, embracing, and loving this part of yourself that you've denied and parsed off. Allowing it to be impersonal. Breathing into it. Fully allowing. And as you do so, as you release the resistance to whatever it was that you participated in and co-created, if you can know that this aspect of yourself is the other side of your gift, to deny this negative expression is to deny all of yourself. So as you breathe into that part of your body, and as you really try on loving this aspect of your ego personality, of your trauma expression, of the entities that have been living through you, the pain bodies, without any resistance or fear. How can I love this? Divine, show me how I can love this and this. And as you bring that question in, just breathe into that part of your body where you feel the most resistance in this aspect of yourself, this quality that expressed itself in 2023. We don't even have to go to the violet flame, you guys. Love in itself, acceptance in itself is enough here. So go deeper and deeper, curl into it. As you curl into it, as you allow it, just surrender to this being true or real in this moment. Letting go of all the fear of this part of yourself. Recognizing that if you allow this to be a part of you, you can work with it. It won't rear its head in its ugly ways anymore. It won't surprise you, shock you. It won't fester inside of you. So just curl into it. Allow it. Tend to it with your love, with your care, with your attention. You might see it, you might feel it, you might feel a texture. Whatever it is for you, just curl deeper into it, allow it. It can't take you over if you have love for it. Only fear is what gives it power. You don't need to be afraid of it. You don't need to cover it up with shame. Breathe into it. Breathe into you. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to analyze it. You don't need to emote about it. Just feel it. Allow it. Curl into it. Bring it closer. And as you do so, bring it right into your heart. So your heart is a filter, like a HEPA filter, a furnace. So just bring it into your heart. Allow the soul flame within your heart to just transmute it, to burn off the fear, the karma. Just allow it to transmute. Bringing it up. So from my belly up into my heart, just bring it up into your heart and let your soul flame transmute it. Or send it to the divine. Hand it over to divine. Here, please transmute this. But know that you can transmute it yourself. Right here. Just notice what that feels like as you allow the shadow, as you release your judgment, as you breathe into this part of yourself, engulfing it into your soul flame. Take a deep breath into that part of your body. You don't need to strategize of what you do or what you say or how to handle this. Just trust that your heart has got it handled. Allowing yourself to return to the present moment. Breathing into your spine. Opening up the back body. Coming back into a nice deep pranic breath. And as you just surrender in, right here, right now, begin to come back into this present moment, opening your eyes if your eyes were closed. And what I would encourage you to do is for these final days of this year, to allow yourself to do this throughout the day. Ugh, there's a part of myself I can't face, curling in, embracing it, allowing it to be engulfed in you, allowing the love to transmute it. No more self-rejection, self-judgment, self-hatred. No more shame or regret or guilt. Even allowing the grief to transmute. So that when we do our intention setting on the 1st, you can come in clean, clear, nice white canvas. Namaste, you guys. I love you. Thank you for hanging in and doing your shadow work. Imagine how much love there's going to be on the planet as we all truly embrace the parts of ourselves that we cannot accept, so that we stop projecting that onto every human being in our space. It's going to be beautiful. Namaste. I love you.